Good morning, and I've got your energy stories for the first week of August 2021. Let's start with batteries. So last week, Core Power announced it will construct the first lithium-ion battery manufacturing facility by a wholly owned U.S. company. It'll be located in Maricopa County, Arizona. This 1 million square foot facility, called the Coreplex, will have up to 12 gigawatt hours of annual battery production. Construction should start by the end of this year, with actual production beginning by Q2 of 2023. That would be a welcome addition to the battery mix, as today only 5 companies, AESC, LG Chem, Panasonic, Samsung, and SK Innovation, supply U.S. electric vehicles. Together they've produced nearly 76 gigawatt hours of battery cells over the last decade. Panasonic's been the clear winner at 74% of the mix, with most of these going into Tesla battery packs, although some also made their way into EVs from Ford, Toyota, and Honda. LG Chem's battery cells mostly went to GM, while smaller amounts supplied Audi, Hyundai, and others. And AESC supplied only a single OEM, which was Nissan. As these supplies continue to ramp and more EVs get sold, we'll need to build out the recycling capabilities for these spent batteries. So it's good news that Redwood Materials, founded by ex-Tesla CTO J.B. Straubel, has raised over $700 million from investors to triple the capacity of its Redwood Materials plant in Carson City, Nevada, and add 500 employees. And speaking of Tesla, it appears finally to have ironed out some of the major kinks in its solar roofing tile product. And developers in Austin recently announced plans to build an entire neighborhood, potentially involving thousands of homes, that will use the third version of Tesla's solar roof tiles and Powerwall batteries in every home. This residential development, known as Sun House at Easton Park, will feature electric vehicle charging stations and be, quote, the most sustainable residential community in the United States. One advantage here is that the solar panels will be directly integrated into new construction rather than being retrofitted onto existing buildings, and that's been one of the real problems that has plagued the solar tiles in the recent past. If developers like Sun House succeed and bring more electric vehicle chargers to homes and more EVs eventually to the road, we'll need more chargers on the highways. You may recall a few months ago I discussed a number of southeastern U.S. utilities that banded together to support an EV charging infrastructure along interstate highways. Well, that coalition for fast charging has now expanded to a total of 14 utilities covering 29 states and Washington, D.C., and serving 60 million customers. We'll see how words translate into investments and action, but this is a start. In the years to come, we may actually see a high-speed charging network built out across much of the United States, courtesy of the utilities. And speaking of words that may translate into significant action, Xcel Energy announced last week it plans to cut emissions by 85% between now and 2030, moving faster than previously planned and with a goal of adding up to 10 gigawatts of renewables in Minnesota and Colorado. The company has already reduced carbon emissions by 51% as of 2020 relative to 2005 levels, so perhaps we should take it at its word. And finally, while the FERC opens up a NOPR, Notice of Public Rulemaking, on transmission to try and build out the transmission network in the United States, which would strengthen the grid and integrate more renewables, Anschutz Corporation, which has made billions in the past in the oil patch, continues to work on a 732-mile, 3,000 megawatt high-voltage power line to bring renewable energy from windy southern Wyoming to load pockets, including Los Angeles and Phoenix. It recently indicated it has almost all the permits, permissions, and partnerships needed. The Trans-West Express project would bring about 20,000 gigawatt hours per year, which is equivalent roughly to about 3/4 of all the electricity consumed by Los Angeles. Well, that's all for this week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.